Hey all, just thought I'd yeah jump on today. I've just been spending some time working on the site and blogs and things, and I just thought I'd jump on just to kind of start off, so to speak, this YouTube channel. I thought I'd do my own little review of film, and it's a film that people have become quite obsessed about. It's the film Obsession. And I realize I'm quite late in this review, but hey, it's a new channel and it's just the right time for me. So that's why I'm doing it. But I found this a really interesting one because I'm often left with stuff after I watch films. I really like think over, and sometimes films really hit me, sometimes they don't. And this was interesting because this was one of those, whereas my view was quite different, I guess, to like the masses, shall we say. This has been an incredibly well received film. It was done on a commendably low budget. I think it was like 750,000. It's made lots. It's yeah, been met with quite universal acclaim. And some certain reviewers. There's Cody Leach. I really like. I'd really recommend his channel. He does a lot of reviews, particularly of horror films. I tend to agree with a lot of what he said. Um, but this was one film like I thought it was kind of cool. I just wasn't completely blown away by it by any means whatsoever. So just to say a kind of heads up, I'd give this film like a B or a B minus. I thought it was a totally cool fun watch. Um yeah, that's it. I thought it was cool. Me and my partner are on a very similar page about it. We can have similar views sometimes. But just to say about this film, I'll talk about yeah, just what I liked and what I didn't. But again, B minus. I think it's totally cool, watchable film. It was entertaining. There were parts I was really left with and like thinking about, and yeah, kind of like joking about afterwards. The way the main girl in it. And what I really liked about it, I really liked the main actress. That's something I totally, hey, I'm totally with anyone who spoke positive about her. I thought she was sensational in this role. She was so creepy, and in a sense as well, not just creepy, but the way she was able to play just two completely different roles. There was the girl who was just being friends with the main guy, and then there was this person just turning into this obsessed monster, so to speak. I just thought she was really, really great. I think we'll see more of her, and I do really look forward to seeing her in new movies. And I'm well, hey, I'm just sure we will because this film has done so incredibly well. I also really like the main guy actor. I thought he again did his role. Yeah, I just thought he was really great and really solid. Um, I also really liked just how it was based on just a simple premise. Like the guy, he just gets a wish. He can wish for anything, and he wishes for this girl he's had a crush on for so long to fall in love with him. And in a way, it was kind of a reversal of like I guess the comedy movie Big. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's a very old Tom Hanks movie. I've always really enjoyed it. But the guy wishes to be big so he can go on a amusement park ride, and that was cool. But it was obviously different because that's obviously Big's a really comedy movie, and that person was making a wish about himself. But just that thing of that very simple premise, yeah, it kind of brought me back to that and reminded me of it. But what I found, I mean, I love like the horror aspect. Some of the way the main girl like smiles and just behaves in a completely odd, inappropriate way, and does things like the way she moves around the bedroom in such like a creepy horror kind of way. I can see how that really yeah, can sort of stay with you basically. And so there were those things I really enjoy, and I just think as a kind of there's a lot said about the other movie. I haven't seen it yet, Backrooms, but those two movies, the fact they were done with very new kind of directors and they've done so well. So it's great how that's like a breakthrough in that sense. But things for me, I kind of felt like whereas there was those things I really enjoyed, those horror elements, I just didn't think like the overall like. And again, look, this is just me speaking, my personal film voice of. Hey, I'm not a universal a critic. I'm just speaking as someone who enjoys films and has my taste and what I enjoy. I didn't really think it kind of develop that much beyond like, okay, the person's they're now obsessed and they're just obsessed and that's it. I didn't think like what I guess I would have liked, and I think this is where again, hey, I'm just speaking from my personal taste, but other horror films I saw recently, I saw Hokum a few weeks ago. I really liked that, and that's would get a bigger. Oh yeah, that would be yeah, one that more resonated with me. I'd say was it was a better horror film. I just didn't think like the simple premise it was explored in a level of yeah, for example, where we had the girl who was obsessed, and then there were flickers of who she really was underneath. Obviously there, but I didn't think that was ever really explored in terms of that coming out as a kind of conflict and how, hey, maybe that original one can maybe come back, or that struggle between the obsessed person and the the real person underneath and what that means and like what the kind of the power of this wish and where that kind of where that ultimately like came from. I mean, it was just touched on, but in a very shallow kind of level. So I would have liked more of just the main girl and the conflict with who she actually was, like bursting up as a thing. And there was that. And also in terms of like the friend group, I did kind of like the characters. I was just checking my watch to some degree of like there was his friend who was the four of them were meant to work together. So there was the main guy, there was the girl he was really into who he did the wish about. Then there was his friend who was meant to be one of his best mates, and then there was this girl, and this other girl maybe had a crush on him. Now I felt like oh, just to say too, I'll write on the thing, but there's some spoilers in this, so for those of you who haven't seen it, maybe feel free to stop now. But there were things, for example, like his best mate, and then it became apparent like he'd been hooking up with this girl who the main guy did the wish about to like him. And so there was something sort of strange in that for me, like not just like that was happening, had been happening before, but at the same time, how this guy was like encouraging him to, say something to her, because he'd liked her for so long. And so that like it just felt unusual, like just as that kind of, like, well, why was he sort of encouraging his friend to sort of speak up and say that when he'd been like sleeping with this girl and stuff? It was sort of it just seemed a little it just sat a bit unusual for me. And like in terms of yeah, well, just not just like in terms of their friendship, but just like the incongruence of the relationship displayed in the film, because it didn't seem to make sense he would be really sort of saying that if he'd been hooking up with her. That just seemed kind of yeah, maybe kind of unusual. So yeah, again, that just didn't really come out for me and wasn't clear. There was a point when yeah, and the friend suggested to him saying something to her that like she obviously didn't find funny. So it was just an unusual dynamic between I felt with him and his friend, and like what was the truth of that kind of friendship, and why was he sort of saying these things to him to say to her when he was like hooking up with her. That just seemed quite yeah, just kind of messy and kind of unusual. Like that relationship didn't fully make sense to me. And also there was the other girl who was kind of involved, and she had a crush on him, and she had quite like a minimal role, but I thought again that could have been just more developed in terms of like yeah, she was the girl who actually had had feelings for him and was still kind of cute, and he maybe could have developed feelings for her. I guess we don't know. But I didn't think either that was again just particularly like explored as a thing. I didn't think there was like a real like if we say like an evolution of like our main person's character, like in terms of him with the his relationships with this girl who did actually like him and with his friends. I think there was just quite a lot under the surface there that could have ultimately come out and been more explored and wasn't. And also I think again with the main girl, it was like, well, she was just obsessed. There was this spell. We don't know how that came about or if it's possible to reverse anything underneath. And this conflict she was feeling when the person underneath was actually still there. Um, yeah, I didn't think that was really explored more either. So it was one of those films where again I heard it quite like kind of hyped up. I just kind of watched it and it was one of those, like, if I hadn't heard about it or heard anything about it, I would have had a pleasant surprise, and I'd be like, "Oh, yeah, that was kinda cool. That was a solid B or B minus film." But it was interesting for me. It was one of those I watched and then, like, yeah, I guess reading, like, pretty a really universal acclaim for it, and whereas I did definitely like it, I was left a bit like, wondering what the huge kind of thing was. And yeah, because I just felt there was a lot that could have been explored, which wasn't. And I just felt I'd seen other, particular horror films like Hokum. Again, I saw a few weeks before, which I really enjoyed, and I thought that had, just in terms of the whole experience that and like the story of the main, protagonist and his memories and his just connections with the other characters in the film, I just thought was ultimately like a deeper horror psychological experience to watch. Whereas I felt, to some degree, obsession. I just felt a bit like one dimensional and just like a kind of simple enough, kind of premise, which we know which is fair enough. But I think it could have gone to a lot of places that it didn't. So, well, hey, that's it for me, and I hope that doesn't sound too negative. I always reflect like my cartoon background, and I think, oh, is it just me? Was there something going on about how, maybe I just didn't like it being a breakthrough film or something? But hey, as I said, I totally liked it. I think if you like horrors, you'd have some fun watching it. I think I give it a solid B minus, but hey, I'm starting off reviews on this channel. Just saying my views, like, different. If you do look at this online, you'll see more like the raving about this, more putting it in an A category. For me, it just didn't hit me in that way, but I thought it was totally cool, good fun film. And if you like horrors, I'm sure you will get something out of it. And again, my view is different to some others. But that's it. That's my review of Hokum. Sorry, no, it's my review of Obsession. I was mentioning Hokum as something I maybe preferred. I watched a few weeks before. So yeah, take care. Have a great rest of the day.